At first, it looked like just another survival game. Bright colors, children's games, masked guards. But behind the sugar-coated aesthetics of Squid Game lies a terrifying truth that no one was ready for. Have you ever wondered why it felt so real? Why millions of people around the world were disturbed, not just entertained by what they saw? That's because Squid Game wasn't just fiction. It was a mirror, a brutal reflection of our reality, and perhaps even a warning. But what if I told you the roots of Squid Game aren't just based on imagination? What if it's inspired by events and systems so real, so dark, that we're all somehow a part of them without even realizing it? The idea for Squid Game started long before it became a Netflix hit. Back in 2008, creator Hwang Dong-hyuk wrote the script while deeply in debt himself. He was jobless, broke, and even had to sell his laptop to survive. That's when the concept was born. What if desperate people were pushed into playing deadly games just for a chance at money? But studios rejected him. They said it was too grotesque, too unrealistic. No one wanted it until the world changed. Years later, after a pandemic economic collapse, rising suicides, and global unemployment, suddenly the script didn't seem fictional anymore. It felt like prophecy. That's when Netflix picked it up. But the haunting part is, it wasn't just a show anymore. It became real because the world had finally caught up to its darkness. The red light, green light game, the giant doll, the pink-suited guards, they might feel surreal, but they're actually drawn from real childhood games in Korea. Except here, innocence is stripped away and replaced with blood. Every episode is more than entertainment. It's a symbol. The show's games mimic how society plays with people's lives. Debt-ridden citizens are lured with hope, then forced into a system where only one can win. Does that sound familiar? Because in reality, we live in a world where millions struggle to survive, where wealth is held by the few, and most are just pawns. The masked VIPs watching the games represent the elite, those who profit off others' pain. And disturbingly, the idea of the rich turning suffering into entertainment isn't just a metaphor. There are whispers, documented stories about people in power who have hosted real-life death games in lawless regions of the world, far from cameras. Squid Game may have exaggerated it, but the roots are disturbingly grounded in truth. There's a hidden layer in the show many missed. Player 001, the old man, who seemed kind, was the mastermind. That twist wasn't just to shock viewers. It represented how the ones who create these systems often hide among the victims, pretending to suffer while pulling the strings. It made people question, who's really in control in the real world? Is your boss, your politician, your billionaire idol really who they seem to be? Or are they just wearing a different kind of mask? And that's the power of Squid Game. It forces you to look deeper, to see that sometimes the worst monsters don't carry guns. They wear smiles, suits, and sit in silence while others bleed. The pink and green colors, the simple shapes, circle, triangle, square, weren't random either. They were designed to resemble a child's toy, but they secretly represent hierarchy, control, and surveillance. The guard are not allowed to speak, to show their faces, to disobey. Just like in many corporations, armies, and governments, where workers become machines. Think about it. In the show, when a guard took off his mask, he was instantly killed. That's how the system works in real life too. If you step out of line, if you question too much, you're removed, replaced. Squid Game simply turned that quiet oppression into loud, bloody symbolism. Many viewers thought Squid Game was just a critique of capitalism. But in truth, it's much deeper. It's about hopelessness. It's about what happens when people have no choice. Each character represented a section of society. An immigrant worker, a gangster, a betrayed investor, a pickpocket, and even a desperate mother. They weren't villains. They were victims. And that's what made the show terrifying, because everyone watching could find a little piece of themselves in one of the players. And that's where it hurt the most. After Squid Game aired, the world changed in strange ways. Real games inspired by the show started appearing. From TikTok trends to real underground challenges in parts of Asia and the Middle East, people began recreating the games, sometimes going too far. In some places, kids were punished for playing red light, green light too violently. But even worse, black market rumors began circulating, claims that secret versions of Squid Game-style contests were being organized in war-torn or lawless zones. Some of these were never confirmed. Others were too disturbing to investigate. Could it be that the show accidentally awakened something darker? Could fiction have inspired reality instead of the other way around? Even more chilling are the online theories. Some say the entire show is a ritual in disguise, that the use of childhood games mixed with sacrifice is symbolic of ancient practices. The Triangle Guard, for example, resembles certain cult symbols used by secret societies. The staircase scenes were inspired by M.C. Escher's Relativity, showing people going in circles, trapped with no way out. Does that remind you of life? Of how people run in loops, jobs, debt, pain, hoping for something better, but always returning to the start. Despite all its darkness, Squid Game also gave us something powerful: awareness. It showed the world what inequality truly feels like. It forced people to talk, to question, to reflect. And for that, it became a global phenomenon. But the bigger question remains: was this just entertainment? Or was it a message hidden in plain sight? Could this be a warning of what's coming, or what's already happening quietly behind closed doors? Now you decide. Was Squid Game just a brilliant show, or a reality wrapped in fiction? Because sometimes the scariest truths are the ones we choose to ignore. And in a world where desperation grows, and the rich play games with our futures, maybe, just maybe, Squid Game isn't a story. It's a prediction. And if you love powerful, reality-based stories that go beyond what meets the eye, don't forget to follow us here on Moko Views, where we dive deeper than the surface and reveal the truths others fear to tell.